All right, welcome to the 5 a.m. grind. Horace, what's up, man?
Nothing much. What's up with you?
It's good. It's good. You know, going well. Enjoying the summer, the warm weather, the confused weather we've been having so far.
It's Canada, man.
Yeah.
Cold doesn't want to let go.
Did it snow last week? Did you notice that?
It was freezing rain. Wasn't it
freezing
for us?
At least in my area, it was snowing. So
It was
completely
snowing?
messed up.
So was there snow on the ground?
There wasn't snow on the ground, but there was snow coming down.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's light
What the
snow.
heck?
Interesting. Crazy weather in Canada, in case you're wondering. How's business?
Business is, it's good.
Yeah?
I did see numbers come out for
Real estate sales?
Real estate sales. So we're down overall. Like, I don't know. I didn't feel a difference in my business. But when I was looking at the numbers, I mean, I did see that future deals, we had a dip because we always know, there's deals closing in July, August. Those deals start coming in relatively early, a month or 2 months. So we did have, a bit of a dip, and then it picked up, and I'm just like, okay, it was COVID. But overall, each month, it was pretty much the same as pre-COVID. But when numbers came out, I found that we had, I think, in the month of May sales fell 13% from April.
Okay, month over month.
Month over month. That is, I'm pretty sure I got to do my research a little bit, but April is when it starts picking up, right? And then May, June, July is when it really starts going up. So I think because we were in that had those stay-at-home orders that went down.
Yeah.
And I think both April and May, year over year, so April last year and May last year, sales are down over 50%.
Whew. Wow.
So,
well, in case you're wondering what we're talking about real estate.
Residential real
estate in Toronto. Yeah. Interesting stuff. So people are coming out of the pandemic, but prices are starting to slow.
Prices are going up.
Prices are going up,
still
but
going
just
up.
Sales transactions.
So number of transactions went down. So, I don't know. It's really hard to say because I think that as soon as you have one piece of data, everybody starts trying to create or understand some kind of pattern or have something to explain about it. Like it's COVID, it's this, it's that. It's because of stay-at-home order. Prices are going up because people have more money. Like the thing is I do think personally they could have dipped because of the stay-at-home orders. And as the country opens up, we're going to have a decent spike, which is going to make prices go up because everybody's going to be running around trying to get their house. But it could go the other way as well. Who knows? I don't think so. But it could.
It could. All right. So I thought for this week's podcast, we'd cover the topic of attitude. So last week, I'm sure a lot of you tuned in to see the interview we had with Muhammad Faqih. And one of the things he said was, I usually hire for the right attitude as opposed to someone who's just really good or really smart. So I wanted to dive into the topic of attitude and cover it using with the following questions. Number one, what is attitude? Number two, why is attitude so important? Number three, would you hire someone smart or someone with the right attitude? And then number four, when someone has a bad attitude at the workplace, what are the consequences? So Horace, what is attitude? What does that mean to you?
Attitude is perspective. It's the type of energy you bring somewhere. It's I guess, it's your outlook, towards anything, whether it's be it work, be it life, be it relationships, whatever it is. So I guess it's a mindset that you have going into something.
Yeah. I looked this up on Google, and you're absolutely right. Your definition is correct. It's a settled way of thinking about someone or something, typically reflected in someone's behavior.
Oh, that's more eloquently said. I'm just fishing for words.
That's Google. But yeah, I'd say it's the way someone's outlook on life, their just their energy, the way they feel about a certain issue or a certain topic, their approach to life in general is their attitude. What would you say if I was to ask you, Horace, what's your attitude in general in life, in business? What is the attitude that you usually bring to your work?
I would say I try to be in between pragmatic and optimistic. Um, and I don't know, like, I don't know the reason why I say between optimism, because optimism is still kind of like a delusion. If you're like too optimistic. Pragmatic, I mean, like, what is the practical thing to do in a business? You can't really answer that question because you're trying to do something that you haven't done before, you haven't seen anywhere before. You know what I mean? You're trying to, especially if you're trying to grow a business. So you're venturing out of that comfort zone. So in order to venture out, you have to have a positive attitude, right? Optimistic. So I'd say it's something around those lines. I know that, for example, because attitude for me, it really determines how easy, difficult something's going to be before you start it, and how you're going to like finish off that project or piece of work. And I know that a lot of times, for example, if I'm dealing with a lot of work or a lot of nonsense, I will take a step back because especially if I feel overwhelmed, to change my attitude. So I'd be like, all right, I need to make sure that I'm like kind of entering this whole process with a positive attitude, with a mindset that everything can be done, and kind of recalibrate if I kind of I don't know, off balance. So then I correct my attitude and then enter. So attitude, like, honestly, it's everything. It makes work easier. So if I have like an attitude where like, oh my God, there's so much, or there's so many things to do, oh my God, like, what's going on? It's like, I don't know if I could do it. I don't want to do this anymore. I quit, right? Then I step back, and like attitude for me just changes everything. What about you?
Yeah, dude, you hit the nail on the head. Absolutely right. I think attitude is the mindset you bring into the work you do, to the outlook you have on life. And like you said, it is so important. I have a good quote that summarizes what you just said, which is, it is our attitude at the beginning of a difficult task, which more than anything else will affect its successful outcome.
Yeah, no,
right?
I definitely agree with that.
Right, completely right. Completely right. Because if you think something you're about to do is going to fail, 99% of the chance it's bound to fail because you thought it would fail.
Yep.
But if you thought it would be successful and you had the perseverance and the courage to just push through, you could make that impossible task a success.
I mean, even with myself, if I don't have the right attitude starting something, I'm not fully vested in it.
Yes.
So if I don't give it all I've got, I'm not, like, the chances of success are low, especially if it's a difficult task, right? And it's those difficult tasks, like you said, are the ones that you have the doubt. If it's an easy task, you're not going to have a doubt. It's just a matter of kind of going through the motions and having it done. But if it's difficult, the outcome is uncertain, and you don't have a good attitude, you're already kind of like not vested. You're not giving it all you've got.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as entrepreneurs, don't you think you have to kind of be a little bit optimistic? You kind of have to see the world as a bit of a have a utopian view. Because if you're always the type of guy that is pessimistic and thinks, oh, this is not going to work, that's not going to work, you would never succeed as an entrepreneur. You sort of need to be a little bit optimistic, maybe a little bit unrealistic to a certain extent too.
Yeah, I would definitely lean. That's why, like, my thing is between pragmatic and optimistic. Like, if you're too optimistic where everything's always going to be great, I mean, you don't want to sell your house for kind of like a dream that you've had, right? Yeah. So like you don't, like, it really depends, right? And then people hear, oh, there's one person who did that. Well, like, there's so many people that did, like, sold their house for something that wasn't proven and lost everything. So there is that balance. But, like, definitely need, like, optimism, because the thing is, there's how many things are going to stop you, right? Like, oh, people have done this before. Oh, I'm going to, like, how do I solve this problem? How do I solve that problem? How do I market? How do I get the right people? How do I scale? How do I get the right product out or service out, right? How do I get the clients in? How do I keep them happy? How do I get referrals? How do I get, more people in? Like, there are so many problems that you're solving. If you're not optimistic, you're not going to be successful in any measure.
You're not. And I would say if someone with the right attitude can literally break through walls, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, 100%.
You can overcome obstacles, problems, issues, etc. just by having the right attitude. I have another quote, which I think I really like this one too, and it says that Your living is not so much determined by what happens to you, but by the way your mind looks at what happens.
Yeah.
Again, so true.
Yeah.
Because a lot of crap happens to you in your life.
Yeah.
And then you really have a choice. And that choice is, how are you going to look at whatever it is that happens to you? Are you going to sit down and feel sorry for yourself? Are you going to sit down and be paralyzed by it? Or are you going to sit down and just look at it as an issue or as something to overcome and then just keep pushing through?
I mean, the other thing is when things go wrong, and they always will.
They always will.
Yeah. If you have a positive attitude, you're going to actually sit down and be like, what went wrong? And it's going to be constructive feedback to yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because you already have that positive attitude. You're like, all right, well, it didn't happen. Now I have to understand why it didn't happen. Whereas let's say you have a negative attitude and you're like, well, like, it wasn't going to be successful to begin with. We haven't learned anything. You already failed, okay? Mm-hmm. But now you failed again because you're like, well, I already knew it was going to fail, so... or I didn't try that hard. So you're making excuses, or you're blocking yourself out from the real part, which is the learning part and the growing part, because your attitude is, I kind of know what was going to happen anyways, and I knew this was going to fail.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the biggest thing.
And here's the stupid thing about the attitude when something goes wrong. You have two choices. You can either go, oh, this failed, so this was the wrong idea. Let me change course and do something else. Or you could have the right attitude and go, let me figure out why this failed. And then let me make sure if I do it again, then I can make sure it's a success, right?
Yeah.
And that's really that's why some people are successful, because they'll sit there, look at the failure, analyze it, debrief it, look at what went wrong, and then keep pushing through as opposed to just giving up.
I mean, you have to keep getting back up.
Yes.
You keep getting punched in the face. This is business. You keep getting punched in the face, right? You're getting pummeled, and you got to keep getting back up until you're eventually successful, or the other guy's hand's tired, right?
Yeah.
And then you win, right? But that's all attitude. If you have a negative attitude, the first time you get hit, you're gonna be like, oh my God, this hurts, right?
Yeah.
If you get punched again, right? Like if you have a good attitude, you get punched and punched again, and you're like, all right, you know what? Like I gotta keep doing this. I gotta figure this out.
Yeah.
You're not about, oh my God, I feel the pain, I feel this. You're not focusing in on that. You're focusing in on how do I get up and how do I stay up, right? That's what my goal is. And so to have that attitude, you need to have a positive, or to get that success, you need to have a positive attitude.
Yeah, absolutely true. I was thinking back to the interview we did last week, and I was thinking about the example that Muhammad gave about the alchemist, how the person keeps falling, but every time they fall, they know that they're closer to being able to just stand up. And you think about that particular quote, and look at kids, babies, etc. Mm-hmm. When they're learning how to walk, right? Yeah. They get up 1,000 times and they fall over. Does any baby go, oh, no, hold on, I'm too tired of this shit. I'm just going to crawl for the rest of my life. Yeah. No, they do it until they learn how to walk. Yeah. I know it's a very, it's a very small thing, very early on.
Dude, it's a huge thing. For you, it's small. For a baby that
huge.
Doesn't have muscles, right?
Yeah,
it doesn't, it's trying to grow these muscles. Correct. It hasn't done this task anywhere before, right?
Correct.
So now it's trying to figure it out, how do I do this, right?
Yeah.
It's a huge thing, and there's a fear of falling, and oh, maybe I could hurt whatever, the fear goes on in a child, I don't know, but it's, pretty big, right? Because they get scared. Even if you get a jerk, they get scared.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So it's huge, man, at that age.
It really is. It really is.
Or even learning how to speak, right?
Yes.
That's a huge task to learn. You need to have a determined and positive attitude.
Yeah.
All right. You're not thinking about, oh my God, what are people gonna think of me if I can't speak properly? The kid just starts babbling and then it learns.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If everybody thought at that age, oh my God, what if I make a fool out of myself? Nobody's gonna know how to speak.
Yeah.
And then somehow as we get older, we start picking up all these things, these bad habits and whatever. So, but it's all attitude, man.
It really is. It really is.
Or eating food, right? Solid foods, all these things, man. I see my nephews, I don't know. It's just an eye-opening how much they have to kind of go through, even though you could say they're living in a bubble.
Yeah.
Just to grow up and learn things, going to sleep, right? Learning how to sleep is another thing.
Yeah.
They're scared of the dark, all these things that you really are just kind of running through walls as a baby to kind of get through to like figure out.
Absolutely true.
And then we get to this age when we are supposed to be smarter.
Yeah, and
but
it's actually we've regressed. Yeah, in some ways, and we really have. It's funny, and I like this. I'm full of quotes today. I have another one for you. This one's by Thomas Jefferson, and it says, "Nothing can stop the man with the right mental attitude from achieving his goal, but nothing on earth can help the man with the wrong attitude."
Yeah.
Because if you have the wrong attitude, you could be the person that thinks, let's go back to that earlier example we had. And if you think something is bound to fail, I could give you all the tools. I could give you the exact steps you need to take to be successful. Yeah. But if you have a shit attitude, it doesn't matter, dude. You're not going to be able to do it. You're not going to be able to do it.
Yep. And even if you succeed, you'll be like, oh, it was luck,
Yeah, exactly.
It's not something that, I 100% agree.
Yeah. So interesting. All right, so we've covered what is attitude, why is attitude so important, right, in this discussion. When it comes to hiring, would you hire someone smart or someone with the right attitude?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why attitude is not a no-brainer for me. Okay.
Is not a no-brainer.
Yeah. Like why me selecting that wouldn't be a no-brainer? Because when I start thinking about it, would you hire somebody with an attitude and is just unable to do the work?
Yeah.
Right. That's difficult to say. Smart person with a bad attitude. I mean, you could put them in a task, teach them a task. They could have a bad attitude. It really depends on the role that they're in. Mm-hmm. I mean, how important it is. Attitude definitely is one of the biggest things that I'd hire for. Yeah. But is it the only thing? Yeah.
It's not the only thing that you.
It's not the only thing. But attitude definitely. Like if person, for example, and this is, I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Let's say somebody is intelligent and has a good attitude versus somebody who has like 30 years of experience in an industry. I pick this smart guy with a good attitude every single time.
Yeah.
Right? Because they'll learn, they can figure things out, right? And this is at an entry level role. At a higher up role, when you're leading other people, you need a good attitude so that like all of that trickles down, right? So that you're positive, everything's going to be good. Like a lot of times, like when I'm speaking to individuals at the firm, I let them know that the firm, like I'm optimistic about the future of the firm. I may not like always know, but I am optimistic, right? Mm-hmm. Just because everybody needs to know that people who are leading or making the right decisions are not, like pessimistic or think it's all going to burn down.
Yeah.
And I genuinely believe that like it's going to do well, right? So there's like attitude definitely is something that's very important. But overall, I would say, is it like the only one? That's why I'm like that question is a tricky question.
Yeah.
Because intelligence matters. You need to have the right IQ and stuff like that to actually complete the task.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And I guess the assumption that that's imposed in this question is, let's assume they're both equally smart. Well, I guess it says smart versus attitude, but equally hardworking. I don't know. For me, I'd lean more on the attitude stuff.
Okay.
That's just how I am. And the reason for that is I really do believe that whatever task it is, you can eventually teach someone and train them. Yes, they might need a little bit of hand-holding or a little more hand-holding, but eventually I think for me, I'd figure out a way that we could work together if they're not that smart. I'd just, oversee them a bit more. But if they have the right attitude, it might take them time, but I think they could eventually get there.
Yeah.
I really do think so. And you know what? What's funny, my whole perspective on this attitude versus smarts has absolutely changed throughout my career. When I first started my job and my career, I always thought that smarts and accomplishing a task correctly was the most important thing as opposed to having the right attitude. And while that's important, I'm not trying to dismiss that. It is important to finish something accurately, make sure it's precise, make sure it's good work. What will get you far is having the right attitude. And it's having that growth mindset, that mindset that, allows you to consistently improve and get better and consistently deliver good quality service. That, I believe, really takes you far. Your career, your firm, whatever it is that you're doing, I think having the right attitude is so darn important.
I think I agree with you.
Yeah.
So with in the beginning of my career, I was similar in that just getting the job done,
Yeah.
and not the attitude.
Yeah.
But I also find that a lot of it was the organizational culture and them not selling me on it, or me not having that buy-in to change my attitude. So I feel like most people can't. There's very few people, I would say, whose attitudes are permanently like wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Or bad or whatever it is. I think for a lot of people who can self-regulate, they'll make sure that their attitudes are good. But for the vast majority, their attitude really depends on their environment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
you know, as I think about this even more, 2 examples. Okay.
Yeah.
You remember Wall Street, the first one?
yeah,
Was it the first one? I think it was the first one. Michael Douglas goes, "Don't give me some of this a lot of the Harvard shit or whatever, the Harvard grads. I'm not after that. Just give me someone hungry, you know, and I'll teach them, and then they'll just go nuts and absolutely crush it for my firm."
that was Billions, wasn't it?
That was Billions?
Well, I mean, maybe it was Harvard, or maybe it was Wall Street too. But Billions had a
Bobby Axelrod.
Bobby
If
Axelrod,
you guys are a
right?
fan of the show, love
They're
the show.
like, you don't know, like that was the first episode, right?
Maybe it was.
He's like,
But yeah, that absolutely really stuck with me.
same line, like same
thing.
train of thought,
Yeah, exactly. The other thing is, I was talking to one of my buddies as well, and he was telling me, so he oversees 2 people, okay?
Yeah.
He's running a project. I'm not going to say who this is.
Yeah.
But like he's basically overseeing 2 people, and one person is a university graduate, like prestigious degree, etc., done the typical finance route, working at a firm. And then the other person is actually an executive assistant, so secretary, who's now taking a more business role. Okay?
Yeah.
And this person is overseeing both people. And I can tell you that when I was speaking to this person told me that the EA is doing much better than the guy who has a finance degree. You know why? Just because of the attitude. The EA wants to prove that she's worth more than just being an EA. She wants the job more. She's much more thorough with her work. She has 2 kids. She's so busy, but absolutely crushing it, as opposed to this douchebag with a university degree who thinks he's better than everybody else. So sometimes it goes to show, dude, like, attitude is everything.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Yeah. No, I've seen that often enough when you have people from quote-unquote good schools. There's an arrogance that comes with it.
There is. It's like an entitlement. I expect something to be there for me. I'm entitled to this.
Yeah. But if you put them in like a class of their own colleagues or whatever, or other people from like good schools or whatever, you'll see how insecure they are. Because all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, I'm not separate. But as soon as they're like in an area where like, even if it's in their own mind, you know what I mean? Like this example that you're giving, I feel like is very classic of like this one individual who is gone to a good school, whatever, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But in their mind, they think they're better off because there's nothing else pushing them, right? And so they're just arrogant, whereas the other person feels like, I got something to prove. So.
Yeah.
But in general, dude, I like being in my firm around people who are like, how do we get this done? We can change this. There's a problem here.
Yeah.
And how can we change it? And this is how we can get it done. It's all attitude, right?
Yeah.
It's all like seeing things for what they really are and having a good attitude. Whereas other people might be like, well, I don't know if we could do this. Oh my God. Like, And they're thinking, is this going to be more work, or is this going to be like, and it's not like I'm trying to create work just for work's sake. I'm trying to actually at the end make people's lives easier, right? Like, how do we streamline this? So there might be like a boost of work in the beginning, but then it comes down, right? But when people are like, no, I don't know if I could do this, I'm just like, oh man, I don't even want to talk to this person.
Yeah, so true. The other thing I was gonna say as well about just attitude is, hold on, I lost my train of thought here. What was I gonna say? I totally forgot. I'll come back to it. But I did have another quote I wanted to insert here. Maybe it's not completely appropriate, but I do really like this. This is from Michael Jordan. Yeah. One of my favorite athletes, greatest. He's the GOAT when it comes to basketball, like undisputed. And it says, my attitude is that if you push me towards something that you think is a weakness, I will turn that perceived weakness into a strength. Again, it's all about like, someone pushes you to something you're not good at. You're not afraid of being pushed there. You're like, okay, I don't know this. I'll figure it out and turn it around, right? That's so darn important. And now, I remember my train of thought as a result of this. And it goes back to the example that you just cited. The kid that graduated from Harvard and he thinks he knows everybody. everything, etc. One of the biggest problems that I think a lot of young graduates have is just because you went to a good school doesn't make you entitled to know something. You don't know. You have to realize that people who truly are aware and know the things in life know one thing, and that is that they don't know everything, right? Yeah. You have 15 years of law experience. I'm sure sometimes you walk into a room and you go, okay, maybe I don't know this. Maybe there's another lawyer who knows stuff.
I mean, I don't.
It's having humility, having humility.
Yeah.
And even me, it's the same thing. I'm a career finance professional, but I don't know everything. I could walk into a room, and to be honest, I have been and could be completely wrong about something. Yeah. Someone could know more about something than I do. And again, I'll go back to the interview we just did last week. And Muhammad has had quite a bit of success in his restaurant business. And even him, in the interview, he told us, you know, when I picked up the restaurant, I didn't know what I was doing because I wasn't a shawarma dealer. Yeah. Didn't sell shawarmas.
He didn't know how to cook eggs.
Yeah, he didn't know, exactly. And he says, even to today, sometimes I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. And that, to me, is true humility. Like, it's like absolutely the right attitude, dude. It's like knowing that you can always constantly improve, always get better.
I think entrepreneurs, their mindset has to be, they have to love to learn.
Yes.
They can't stop.
Yeah.
Even if your business is kind of like big enough, or you could say, quote unquote, I don't know what big enough is, right? If you don't have a love for learning, I honestly think that even if your business got big, it probably was luck, right place, right time, right? It's not repeatable. I just personally think so.
Yeah.
Right? You have to be at a point where you're constantly challenging yourself, right? It's like Mark Cuban would be like, yo, listen, like if you have an issue, like if you want to get into a business, just go and learn, read books nonstop and figure it out.
Yeah.
Right? Like when they say like CEOs or whatever, they're reading like one book a day or whatever that number is, something like pretty big. It's because they're learning, right? Now, I'm not reading one book a day, but every day I'm definitely learning new things.
Yeah.
Things that are completely outside. It could be one day it's like trying to map out marketing and figuring out like how do different things work and how do things come together, trying to get an understanding, not memorizing facts, get an understanding and praying that it evolves into some kind of wisdom, right? That's one day. The other day is like programming. Other day is like industry knowledge, management theory. Like there's nonstop that I'm constantly learning that I have to learn because in order for my business or firm to be at a level that I want, I have to have this input.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's something that like you have to have a love for learning, and that's pure attitude. It's a pure like I'm going into the darkness and I need to go into the darkness with confidence.
Yeah, so true. I was actually watching, now that you mentioned Mark Cuban, watching something that he was saying, and it was that, you know, he's today a billionaire. Yeah. Okay? And he was on this YouTube clip and he said, even if I lost everything and started with $20, I could do it again. Dude, that's so messed up. That's 100%. So messed up.
No, but like the thing is I feel like, first of all, you're not a business person if you can't do it again.
Right.
If with $20 in your pocket, if you're unable to do it, then like honestly, I feel like the best business people do this because they nail it. They understand it. It's like a aha moment where like I understand how operations relate to marketing, relate to client service, they relate to everything and whatever, right? And I feel like for me, when I had the confidence that like today, God forbid, if everything's taken away from me, I will jump back in. I will have no issue. I will do a business. I'm not going to go work for anybody. And I know that I'll be able to succeed. That's when I knew I understood it. And that's when I took more risks and I scaled the business more effectively.
Yeah.
So like you can't like that is something where like it's attitude, but there's just like that's a whole different feeling.
It's so true. So true. So true. Interesting stuff. All right, so we covered 3 questions. We'll leave the last one. You know, clearly we're very passionate about this subject. But any other key takeaways you wanted to leave just on attitude?
Attitude, the other thing is, I mean, we focus heavily on entrepreneurship and business, but attitude no matter what it is, right?
Career, entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Career, learning a new skill, attitude matters, right? If you have any hobbies that you're picking up, there's most things you don't know before, everything you don't know before you know it. And you need to have a good attitude and you need to have like a present mind, right? That's active, that's aware. In order for you to have that, you need to have a good attitude. That's incredibly, incredibly important. So I would say understand that that's everything. And I understand there could be impediments for having a good attitude. You need to work with yourself, really self-regulate, and make sure that you have that good attitude wherever you go, whatever you do. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. I think we'll leave it there.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right. See you on the next episode.